The international break is finally winding down, and with that, we start to turn our attention back to Celtic's return to action. But before the focus fully shifts to the trip to Daizen Park on Sunday, there's been no shortage of developments involving the Hoops' international players, or, in some cases, the lack of involvement altogether. Take Benji Negrin, for example. Once again, the Swedish winger didn't get a single minute for his national team across both matches during the break. That's now 4 straight World Cup qualifiers without him stepping onto the pitch. For Negrin, it must be frustrating. He's eager to prove himself, but Sweden's situation is dire. They've managed just 1 point out of a possible 12, including back-to-back losses to Kosovo, 1 at home. That's right, a home defeat to Kosovo. Sweden's World Cup hopes are pretty much dead in the water at this point, and it paints a grim picture given the talent they have at their disposal. But from a Celtic perspective, this might be a hidden blessing. No minutes for Negrin means a full rest, time on the training ground, and hopefully, a fresher and more focused player stepping back into club duties. On a more positive note, Sebastian Tincti's situation with Tunisia is one that raised a few eyebrows. He missed the first match of the international window, which sparked a bit of concern among fans, but ultimately, he featured in the second game. And not just featured, he started the match, although only played the first half. Tunisia had already locked in qualification, so this game was more about keeping rhythm than chasing points. Tincti played out on the right wing, a position not unfamiliar to him, but still not his preferred role. He's been vocal about his comfort on the left, but being deployed on the right shows a bit of tactical flexibility that might become important for Celtic moving forward. He was subbed off at halftime, which could have been pre-planned considering he had a knock recently. Nothing to panic about, and in fact, it's reassuring to see him back on the pitch, even if only for 45 minutes. Speaking of knocks, all eyes are now on Daizen Metta. He pulled out of the Japan squad before the matches kicked off, and information from the Japanese media has been scarce. We're still in the dark regarding the extent of his injury, and that leaves Brendan Rodgers with a bit of a waiting game until Friday's press conference. Reports suggested it's something with the left leg or foot, but there was no indication of any issue before the break. So it's a mystery for now, and Celtic fans will be anxious to hear what the boss has to say. Metta is a key player, especially in high-tempo games, and being without him for an extended period would be a massive blow. One player Celtic fans are thrilled to see edging closer to a return is Alistair Johnston. It's been 8 weeks since that nasty hamstring tear he suffered during the Champions League tie against Kayak. A match that feels like it happened ages ago, given everything that's gone on since. Back then, there was optimism in the air. Since then, the vibe around the club has shifted, and it's fair to say it's been a bumpy road. But now, with Johnston back in training, there's a spark of hope. The right back returned to full training at Lennoxtown this week, and although there's no rush to throw him straight into the starting 11, there's optimism that he could get some minutes at Daizen Park. Not from the start, most likely, especially with Kobe Donovan available. Donovan's been away with the Scotland under-21s, but assuming he returns fit, he should start on Sunday. Ideally, Celtic can put the game to bed early and use the final 30 minutes to ease Johnston back in. Looking ahead, the question becomes, what does Brendan Rodgers see as his strongest 11? That's something he hasn't quite nailed down yet this season. Injuries haven't helped, and form has been all over the place. But as we move into a critical stretch of fixtures, with Sturm Graz, Hearts, Rangers, and Midtjylland all coming up, having a settled back line could be vital. With Johnston's return, that back six starts to take shape. You'd expect Casper in goal, a back four of Johnston, Carter Vickers, Scales, and Tierney, with Callum McGregor shielding in midfield. Add Tincti on the left and Iheanacho up front, and the spine of the team starts to look solid. That leaves 3 positions up for grabs, and right wing remains a real dilemma. Metta has played there, but he hasn't impressed. The question is whether it's a Metta problem or just Metta playing out of position. He looks off the pace, no matter where he's been deployed recently. If not him, then who? Young isn't delivering consistently. James Forrest, as loyal and experienced as he is, might not be the solution for every game. Benji Negrin is another name floating around. Some believe he could shine if he had Johnston overlapping, giving him more space to cut inside. Personally, I'm not convinced by Negrin as a right winger. He hasn't shown enough. Then there's Bali Shah, who had one appearance on the right at Rugby Park and looked completely out of sorts. Could Tincti shift to the right? He played there for Tunisia. While he prefers the left, it shows he's versatile, and in a squad that needs solutions, versatility might be the best trait of all. And what about the midfield? That's been the most stagnant part of the pitch this season. There's been a lack of energy, creativity, and overall spark. So maybe it's time to hand the reins to Ari Engels. He hasn't been electric, sure, but he did deliver that crucial ball in the winning goal against Motherwell. Sometimes players just need a run of games to find their rhythm. And with everything looking so stale in the middle, what's the harm in giving him a chance? Pairing him with someone he knows well, like Balisha, who played centrally for Antwerp earlier this year, might inject something fresh into that engine room. Balisha himself has said his strengths are pressing, movement in tight areas, and quick touches. That sounds like exactly what Celtic's midfield has been missing. It's unconventional, yes, but maybe unconventional is exactly what this team needs. Some will call for Rio Hatate to return, and rightly so. When on form, he's one of the best midfielders in Scotland. But it's been a long time since we've seen that version of Hatate. There's a feeling he's already mentally checked out, like he thought the big move would have come by now, and it's just not happened. Paulo Bernardo and McCaughan are still in the picture, but again, neither has grabbed the opportunity with both hands. So why not try something new, even if it's risky? Something needs to shift in that midfield. With all these questions still swirling around, the manager has tough decisions to make. And with the fixture list piling up, there's not much time to experiment. Changes are coming. The return to domestic action kicks off at Daizen Park, but soon after that it's a gauntlet of key matches, and Celtic can't afford to stumble. The pieces are there. The squad has depth, but it's time to figure out how the puzzle fits together. As the fixture calendar starts to intensify, timing becomes everything, not just in terms of match preparation, but also in how Brendan Rodgers sets the tone for the next critical run of games. There's no hiding from it. The next stretch could define the narrative of Celtic's season. And within all that, it's not just about the players returning from injury or those needing minutes. It's also about how Rodgers finds balance, clarity, and conviction in his selections. Because until now, there's been too much chopping and changing, and that uncertainty has filtered onto the pitch. What's clear is that Celtic have the individual quality. What's unclear is whether those individual pieces are ready to come together into something more cohesive. And that's where upcoming games will offer real answers. The trip to Daizen Park might look routine on paper, but in this context, it's a pressure cooker. Everyone knows it's the calm before the storm. What follows are high-stakes matches, ones that require sharpness, chemistry, and decision-making at the top level. And you can't fake that. You either find rhythm quickly, or you risk being exposed when it matters most. There's also something to be said about leadership right now. Callum McGregor has carried that role with pride, but there are moments when even the most experienced players need fresh energy around them. Celtic don't just need their captain to hold the line. They need others to step forward and help drive standards. Carter Vickers has the calm authority. Tierney brings the fire. And maybe someone like Alistair Johnston, even though just returning, can inject that bit of character the team's been missing. You think back to his performances last season, and it's clear he brings more than just ability. He brings presence. And yet, with all that said, you can't talk about Celtic without addressing the noise off the pitch. While the team prepares for battles ahead, frustration continues to simmer within the support. A section of the fan base feels like the club has lost touch with its identity, not just in terms of performances, but how the board has been handling things. The launch of yet another Adidas merch drop this week hasn't gone unnoticed. Stylish or not, the timing has raised eyebrows. It was teased during a recent home game, and now it's being rolled out officially. Green suede trainers, sweatshirts, jackets, all neatly packaged under the Spsio range. But the bigger question is, who's really buying into it? Because while the club pushes new products, many fans feel there's been little accountability where it really matters. There's a growing sense that communication from the board has become transactional. You only hear from them when there's something to sell, not when there are answers to give. And that disconnect, especially during periods where on-field performances aren't convincing, only deepens the frustration. It's not that fans don't want to support the team. Far from it. They're still filling away-ins, still buying season tickets, still making the long trips. But they also want to feel like their voices matter. And that leads into the feeling that, while the club insists it's operating like a modern football institution, some of the decision-making suggests otherwise. Whether it's transfers, media messaging, or strategic direction, there's a noticeable gap between what's being promised and what's being delivered. Add to that the constant rollout of merchandise, and you begin to understand why some supporters are reaching a tipping point. It's not just about being asked to pay for things. It's about being heard, being respected, and seeing a vision on the pitch that matches the rhetoric off it. All of this bleeds into the atmosphere surrounding the upcoming games. You've got a midweek fixture now confirmed against Dundee United, moved to a Wednesday night in mid-December because of the League Cup semi-final clash against Rangers. You've got a noon kickoff away to Hibernian. And most talked about of all, that Saturday night match against Street Mirren with an 8 o'clock kickoff. That one's caused quite a stir. The same match week last year saw Celtic playing Hearts on a Saturday night, also post-international break. And although they cruised to a big win at Tincti, these late kickoffs don't sit well with everyone, especially the traveling support. Saturday nights are for celebration, not scrambling through train schedules and late-night travel back from away grounds. But the Sky Sports cameras will be there, and the club will be under the lights once again. From a footballing perspective, that Street Mirren match could be tricky. They've been a stubborn opponent before, and it's the kind of fixture that becomes complicated if you don't approach it with the right energy. That's why Sunday's game at Dens Park becomes a bit of a launch pad. It's a chance to get sharpness back, get goals flowing, and build confidence ahead of the real tests. You don't want to be heading into the European nights or a match against Rangers trying to rediscover your rhythm. You want to be hitting those games already in gear. And that's why it's not just about who's fit or available. It's about the system. Rodgers needs to land on a structure that brings the best out of what he has. Too often this season, the midfield has looked static. The wide players have looked isolated. The striker, whoever it is on the day, has been feeding off scraps. That's not sustainable when you're aiming to dominate in multiple competitions. Something has to click. And maybe that means being a little bold. Maybe it means trusting players like Engels and Balishaw in central roles, even if it's not what was originally planned. Because right now, planning needs to meet practicality. You can't wait for form to arrive. You have to go and find it. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers around Glasgow's footballing circles are growing louder by the day, and the latest gossip suggests Celtic might just be pulling off a masterstroke in the transfer market. Sources close to the Hoops claim that Ryan Porteous, the tenacious center-back who's been turning heads south of the border, is on the brink of donning the green and white hoops. While nothing's officially confirmed, the rumor mill is buzzing with talk of a deal that could see Portius become the new linchpin of Celtic's defense. Insiders hint that the Scottish champions have been watching Porteous for months, noting his uncompromising style, aerial prowess, and ability to marshal a backline with authority well beyond his years. If the whispers hold water, Celtic are set to not just sign a player, but to secure a leader, a defender capable of galvanizing the squad and intimidating even the toughest strikers in the Premiership. Fans are already imagining the impact, the crisp tackling, the sharp interceptions, and the commanding presence at set pieces. Some of the more excitable voices online have even suggested that with Porteous at the heart of the defense, Celtic might see an era of dominance reminiscent of the golden days under Neil Lennon. Whether that's wishful thinking or a glimpse of the future remains to be seen, but the very notion has certainly lit up conversations in Glaswegian pubs and social media threads alike. Of course, rival clubs are said to be watching the developments nervously. A player of Porteous' caliber won't come cheap, and whispers of a substantial fee have already stirred a few eyebrows. Yet, if Celtic managed to clinch the deal, it would send a loud message across Scotland and beyond. The Hoops are serious about fortifying their defensive line, and they're ready to invest in talent that can define a team for years. For now, supporters are left to speculate, debate, and, in true Celtic fashion, dream big. Ryan Porteous might just be the missing piece, the steadying force that transforms talk into trophies. But until the ink is dry, it's all rumors, chatter, and the tantalizing possibility that the boys are about to add a formidable new figure to their ranks. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.